One of the strongest foundations of teacher presence is boundaries. Every effective teacher has them. Every respected teacher keeps them. And every classroom where learning happens consistently is built on them. But here's something I've noticed over the years. Many teachers believe that the difficult part is creating rules. It isn't. The difficult part is enforcing them because making rules is easy. Living by them every single day is where teacher presence is built. So if there's one word I want you to remember from this video, it's this: insist. We've been talking about teacher presence in a number of videos, and today we're going to talk about the importance of insisting on compliance. I'll say that word again: insist. Insisting on your boundaries is far more important than creating those boundaries. In fact, if you're not prepared to enforce a rule consistently, don't make it. That might sound surprising, but think about it. The moment students realize that one of your rules can be ignored without consequences, that rule loses its authority. Soon, they'll begin to wonder which other rules are optional. And before long, your classroom starts becoming unpredictable. Teacher presence begins to weaken, not because you lack knowledge, not because you are not a good person, but because your words and your actions no longer match. Students pay close attention to consistency, sometimes more than teachers realize. They are constantly asking themselves questions like, does my teacher really mean what they say? Will this instruction still apply tomorrow? Sometimes they say, can I get away with ignoring this? What if I try this or try that? Children may never ask those questions aloud, but they're always testing for the answers. That's simply how children learn where the boundaries are. They always test. Now, let's be clear. Testing boundaries doesn't necessarily make children disrespectful. It's part of normal human behavior. Adults do it too. Whenever we enter a new environment, we quietly observe what is acceptable and what isn't. Children do exactly the same thing in classrooms. The difference is that they don't only listen to what teachers say, they watch what teachers do. That's why consistency matters so much. Suppose your rule is no talking without permission. That is simple, clear, and easy to understand. Now, imagine one student begins chatting while you're teaching. You notice it, but you ignore it. 5 minutes later, another student begins talking. You ignore that one too. What have you unintentionally taught the class? You've taught them that your rule doesn't really matter. Without saying a word, you have weakened your own authority. Now, compare that with another classroom. The teacher calmly walks over, makes eye contact, waits for silence, then quietly reminds the student of the expectation. No shouting, no anger, no drama, just calm consistency. Students quickly learn when this teacher says something, they mean it. That is teacher presence. Teacher presence isn't about having the loudest voice. It's about having words that carry weight. And words carry weight when students have seen you consistently stand by them. The same applies to classroom routines. Maybe you've told your class, I want everyone seated before the lesson begins. That sounds simple, but here is where many teachers unknowingly weaken their presence. The bell rings, half the class is seated, a few pupils are still walking around, someone is sharpening a pencil, another is chatting across the room. The teacher sighs and starts teaching anyway. What has happened? The routine has been broken. Tomorrow, even more students will delay taking their seats because they now know the lesson will begin whether they're ready or not. Instead of doing that, pause, wait, allow your expectation to become the normal standard. Yes, it may take an extra 30 seconds today, but those 30 seconds can save you several minutes every day for the rest of the term. Consistency always pays dividends. Sometimes you meet pupils who test your instructions in very subtle ways. They don't openly refuse. Instead, they delay. You ask them to return to their seats. They look around first, adjust their books, smile at a friend, then slowly begin walking. Only a few seconds, but those few seconds are important. I usually don't ignore moments like that. I'll calmly call the pupil back. Then I'll explain how I expect instructions to be followed. After that, we simply repeat it. Walk back to your seat. This time, they respond immediately. Notice what I didn't do. I didn't shout, I didn't embarrass the child or make it personal. I simply taught the expected response. That's an important distinction. Boundaries are not about punishment, they're about teaching. Every classroom procedure has to be taught before it can be expected. Students aren't born knowing how you want them to enter the classroom, or how you want them to ask questions, or how you want them to submit assignments, and so on and so forth. You teach those expectations. Then you reinforce them over and over again until they become habits. Another mistake teachers sometimes make is creating far too many rules. Everything becomes a rule. Soon, neither the teacher nor the students can remember all of them. Instead, keep your rules few, clear, and meaningful. Every rule should support learning, respect, or safety. If a rule doesn't help one of these three things, ask yourself whether it's really necessary. Simple classrooms are often the strongest classrooms. Here's something else worth remembering. Children actually feel safer where boundaries are clear. Many adults assume children enjoy unlimited freedom, but that's rarely true. Children thrive where expectations are predictable. When they know what's expected, when they know the consequences, when they know every student is treated fairly, they relax. There's less anxiety, less conflict, less confusion, and much more learning. Consistency doesn't create fear, it creates security. Students know where the boundaries are. They know what's acceptable, they know what isn't. And because everyone understands the expectations, the classroom becomes a calmer place. That's one of the hidden benefits of teacher presence. It doesn't only earn respect, it creates an environment where learning becomes easier. So, as you reflect on your own classroom, ask yourself a few questions. Are my boundaries clear? Do I consistently enforce them? Do my actions always match my words? Would my students say that I mean what I say? If the answer is yes, you're building strong teacher presence. If not, don't worry. Start with one boundary, be consistent, repeat it every day. Before long, your students will begin responding differently, not because you've become stricter, but because you've become more predictable. And predictable teachers create predictable classrooms. So don't just make rules, teach them, model them, reinforce them, stand by them, and above all, insist. Because every time you consistently uphold a boundary, you're not just maintaining order, you're building trust, you're developing respect, you're shaping character, and you're becoming the kind of teacher whose presence is felt even before a single word is spoken. Before we end, I want to leave you with one final thought. Students don't learn your boundaries because you announced them. They learn them because they experience them consistently. Every instruction you follow through on, every routine you reinforce, every expectation you calmly insist upon is shaping the culture of your classroom. Remember, teacher presence isn't about being harsh, it isn't about controlling, and it certainly isn't about winning power struggles. It's about creating an environment where everyone knows what is expected, where learning can happen without unnecessary distractions, and where students feel secure because the boundaries are clear. If you find that your classroom is becoming increasingly difficult to manage, don't immediately assume you need more rules. You may simply need greater consistency. Go back to your existing expectations, clarify them, teach them again, and most importantly, insist on them, because students are far more influenced by what you consistently do than what you occasionally say. So this week, I want to challenge you. Choose just one classroom boundary, only one. Commit yourself to enforcing it calmly, respectfully, and consistently every single day. Watch what happens over the next few weeks. You may be surprised at how much one consistently enforced expectation can change the atmosphere of your classroom. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing, because in this series we are exploring practical ways to develop stronger teacher presence so that every lesson becomes calmer, every instruction carries more weight, and every student has a better opportunity to learn. I'll see you in the next video.